Good morning, everyone. Yeah, it's one of those bathrobe moments, right? So, yeah, why not? Life is full of surprises, and things can go pretty quick the wrong way. And then we see our dogs barking up the wrong tree, and we're right into it, barking with our dog together. Our subjects today basically is how we reward our dog for barking up the wrong tree. Duh. So, and I'm having coffee and it's cold. But so I wake up in the morning and I responded to a client and he was telling me that so many times he tried to reward the dog for his good behavior, but the dog continues to showing bad behavior. And it's not the only thing. I mean, many people are right, especially balance trainers who says positive reinforcement doesn't work. Yeah, it doesn't work if you don't do it right. If you don't understand the concepts of reinforcement. Now, here's an example. First of all, let me start this way. There's a lot of scientific evidence, it's nothing new. From human perspective, we understand the social pressure, but there is also a social reward, right? And so when we study and we look into these things, I will mention all the studies that are referenced here because I think it's important. We notice that we do things because we like it. But sometimes we do things because other people like it. We do it because we have friends. We're going to do things like stepping on the table and dancing and karaoke because people are there. Even though if we would be alone, we wouldn't do it. We're kind of like morals and ethics, like you don't step on a table thinking what people would say. But if you have this support next to you, all of a sudden it goes up. And even if people are screaming and yelling, you don't even listen to what they're saying. You kind of take that to your advantage because now you're going to be pushed into like singing louder and a better song. And maybe now Tina Turner, I guess. It's kind of, sorry, we miss her a little bit. But what we learn from here is that this social support can go the wrong way. We can do things that we shouldn't do because other people was there supporting us, even if they weren't aware either what they're doing because they were just supporting what you're doing, right? Or did you got it the wrong way? Or did they say something you actually didn't hear? So when we take that whole concept and bring it down to dog level, like you and me having dogs, we want to care for them. And for example, we have a dog who's barking down the fence. And what do? Technically speaking, we should reward the dog when he stops barking. Usually what we do, we call the dog back to us. And we're so happy that he finally let go of that freaking fence and is barking at his neighbor's house and dogs. And then he came back to us, a good boy, such a good boy. You came back to me. Nice, here's a cookie. Great. I mean, it makes sense. The dog comes back to you. He should get rewarded for coming back to you because you called him from down there, embarrassing your neighbors. But in reality, what happened may be different. Maybe you rewarded your dog for actually doing exactly that job. And he came to you for social reward. And you did exactly that. You reinforced it. Why? Well, how many times have you seen your kid? I don't know if you guys have kids in the swimming pool when the kid is on the podest and it's like, Daddy, 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 look, bloop, in the water. It's funny, right? It's great. It's a nice job. Try it again. Of course, it wasn't right. It was just wrong. But you know what? You need to encourage the kid for doing so. And what did you do from there? You encouraged your child for jumping into the water. And the child takes more courage to do it next time better. So if your dog is barking at the fence and you yell at your dog, you're basically yelling with your dog at the neighbors. Why would the dog take it the wrong way? Why? Obviously, you bark for the same reason he barks. So that social event that happens there is supporting your dog on the job he's doing. So he feels good about you joining the team barking at the neighbor. Now, why would the dog think that you have a different opinion? The dog wouldn't do things if he thought that what he's doing is not right. He does what he thinks is right. So, If you yell at your dog while your dog is doing something, your dog doesn't perceive his action as wrong. He thinks you yell just as him to the neighbor. Interesting, right? So if you kind of wrap your mind around that, maybe take a sip of coffee. My wife makes amazing coffee, by the way. You should try one. Your own coffee, not my wife's coffee. Once we wrap our mind around that, we recognize that we need to understand that reward has multiple dimensions. It's not just one dimension, pick up, treat, give dog. It has a location, it has a time, it has a delay. There's just so many things that happen in that dimensions that we have here. Also, relationship is a dimension that if we're not aware of those dimensions, we will not be able to be successful in modifying a dog's behavior. And then, this is where the balance training comes in, we resort to balance training and balance with the meaning of, my dog doesn't do what I want him to do, he gets to get punished because he's wrong. But if we reframe the whole thing and we see, hey, wait a minute, why would I punish my dog for doing something wrong if it doesn't do something wrong from his perspective? Right? Because if I would reward my dog, I would have to reward him before he actually barks, telling him that is what I like. Our social idea is no barking. But I cannot tell him that while he's barking. I have to tell him before he barks. Interesting, right? Just think about the concept. Let's go a bad human concept. Cheating. If you cheat and then somebody talks about it, it's already done, so you cannot fix anything. But what if you have a different concept and you don't cheat because you have morals and ethics? How do you learn about those morals and ethics? Somebody tells you that cheating is not the right thing to do. Why? Because there is a relationship and there's a time and frame that you have to be honest to your relationship. You see, all of a sudden, all these things come into place. If you do what you do and you get rewarded by the action, right? Let's go back to the dog training thing. I know cheating is not a good idea. So if your dog is barking down there and people passing by with their dogs and your dog is barking at these dogs, that in itself is rewarding, right? The dog is happy for doing that because obviously the dog is walking away. The dog doesn't understand that these people just live down the road. They're passing by, he barks, they leave. Obviously it works and it's continue working. Or let's say the dog is in the car in your back seat and you're driving the car and your dog is barking his head off by the passengers and he sees the dogs passing by, he barks and they disappear. Common sense, right? He barks, they disappear. It works. Why stop working it? Why stopping if it works? So, of course what we do, the first thing we do, I did, grab back and try to grab the dog's collar, pull him back again. Shut up! Louder than he barks, obviously, otherwise he wouldn't hear it. But that is already encouraging because that physical interaction with your dog can be taken both ways. A, you're intervening in your dog's job and he's pissed and you get a bite and then you pull over and then yell at your dog. Or he thinks you are with it. You guys are joining the team here. What if we recognize that the dog is really struggling? He has a problem. He found out that this way to solve the problem works because it really disappears. But if we're smart about it, we can say, how can I help my dog change his mind about the problem? How about I help him be social supportive of showing an alternative behavior before the behavior that we consider wrong shows up? For example, we're sitting here on the deck. I have a nice deck, see nature, trees in Oregon. I have my coffee, talking to you in my bathrobe, that kind of thing. And I know this is a time where people will walk by. Why am I not proactive? Yes, you can use treats. And I know some people who says, oh, you're luring your dog, bribing your dog. No, luring and bribing are two different things, okay? I have my treats, the dog knows it. I said, hey, let's earn some treats here. Here's what we're going to do. You pay attention when I tell you, and I reward you for that. Okay? Now here's your job. Pay attention. The next thing I'm going to put into the equation is pay attention to your environment. Because I have a dog and I want him to pay attention to the environment. Coyotes, bears, cougars, all these things are running around here. I want the dog to reward me from that. Right? I'm not taking that away. Plus, I have breed traits. I cannot eliminate these breed traits. See problem, bark about it, right? But I can modify the breed traits. I can move them to a different, better job description. So, people are walking, I can see them. My dog is like, ooh, I can see something. And me right away there before he barks. I have maybe a second time frame. Remember time and location? 1 second time. And I said, hey, thank you. Here's a treat. I can use his name because I conditioned that. Name equals pay attention and a cue to make the job done, right? So I can say name and give him a treat. And your dog is like, wait, what? I get a treat for not barking? Yep. Thank you. And it's like, but the problem's out there. Yeah, I know. It's totally there. Here's another treat for telling me the problem is there. So making eye contact with me is rewarding. Paying attention is rewarding. Not barking is rewarding. Now all of a sudden, creating that new environment in that location with that event, right? With the value of those treats that we have here. It could be a chew toy, it could be anything else, because the duration matters too. So if I just give your dog a treat, but the event continues happening, then the treat value in a time frame is shorter than the event that's happening. Which means, swallow treat, get back to work. No, I want my dog to be as busy, as long busy as the event is happening. Right? Like sitting in a coffee shop, drinking a coffee before it gets cold. But I'm not taking a sip and leave, right? The coffee bonds you on that place. So I want my dog to feel bonded in that place, not only because of the reward, of the value reward, but also because of our relationship. That's a value too. Plus the location. It's a good location. Why going all the way down there and not fixing it if you can come here and fix it? And all of a sudden we create this package of events. So when we see that multidimensionality of that event, we can see problem, solution. I am the solution. I'm offering the value. I offer the value that my dog values, not just the one I can afford. And then I understand there is a time frame around that. And some dogs don't have that understanding of time. Sometimes we have to educate them. So if I want to change my dog's behavior of what we don't like, it's not just one thing. If you see these dimensions, sometimes you have to come in from a, let's call it, trauma-informed perspective, recognizing why the dog eventually, because of his traumatic experience in the past, can behave that way. Plus, on the other side, we have to build a relationship. Who am I to tell my dog what to do, and why would he listen to me? So if you don't build up the secure attachment relationship, it's impossible for the dog to listen to you because you're not part of his problem. You're kind of an additional problem. He doesn't want you now. He's busy with that, right? The next thing I want to look for is how can I break it down to small individual pieces so my dog can digest it? We know dogs are so amazing beings and can do all this fancy stuff, but they're still dogs. From our perspective, they're super smart, but they're not really understanding things that we do, or our stuff is complicated enough. So we have to put it down into, what's the word now? Discrete trial training. It's a term. So discrete trial training is you break it down as individual pieces and let the dog learn from it and make it his own experience, and then use that to the next level and to the next level and to the next level, and suddenly becomes a whole concept. So how do I break it down? Let me break it down for you in a little bit. And I know some things can be more complicated and each dog is an individual, and you cannot just take it out and put it on a dog just because I told you so. Sometimes you have to really do a research about the base of the behavior and why it's happening, so we can discuss a treatment plan, how to break it down, what's going on in the dog's mind, what is the history of the dog, what is background, what is breed trait, all these things come in place. And of course, what the triggers are, because there's a difference between a cat or a dog or a person or a coyote or an air balloon. This is kind of like a thing that happens lately. Everybody's flying around with the air balloons, and I get all these messages from clients, oh, my dog gets crazy seeing the air balloons, something like that. And so this trial training, we have to break it down as individual piece. The concept of relationship, then the concept of paying attention, then the concept that I'm providing for things and I solve things for your dog, right? The other concept would be stay here, right? Or return from an incident. So all these concepts have to be put in place so your dog can take them and process them. Because from a dog's perspective, basic core programming, like you get him out of the box kind of thing, it's a hunting sequence, right? And then we have fight-flight response. All these things are important to understand. Now, once we have that set, and once we explain the dog as individual pieces, then we take it out in the field, and then we're going to create, and I know some people will turn their eyes back, like, really? Yeah, you have to create a control environment. If you want to be successful with your dog and you cannot control the environment, don't even start. Right? Somewhere you have to start. And I had a conversation yesterday with a client. I was like, I cannot control my environment. Yes, you can. Even one piece. If you can control one piece of your environment, that's already better than not controlling it. Right? You cannot just have a loose dog running around in a yard and expecting you can fix the fence. Right? So sometimes you have to put a leash on. Sometimes you have to restrict the access. Close that gate. Right? Or work in a time where there's not so much traffic, like kids going to school, 8 to 9, I don't know what time they go, right? Or high traffic areas, dog is chasing cars. Well, not in the morning when everybody's driving to work. And once you have that set, you have to do some calculations, observations, let's call it better. Make a map, make a plan, see which days are better. If I want to work with a garbage truck, I'm not working on Tuesday when the garbage truck comes. I'm going to work on Monday and Sunday and Saturday, so I'm ready for Tuesday, right? And so, yeah, you can control environment a lot, but you have to be aware what the environment looks like and what really affects your dog. Plus, we have underlying medical conditions. An important dimension, most people don't even know about it, that a dog, just because he is miserable, just because he has a little bit of blood issues, some maybe dementia or maybe a little bit of hormonal issues, his behavior goes exponentially higher. Well, that's a factor you can fix right away. Sometimes that fixing of that factor makes the whole problem go away. You see, all of a sudden you can control so many things. And so once you have that set, then you can start helping your dog, changing his mind about what's happening and what you like to do. Because in reality, dogs want to do what secures them in your family. The social value and the social feedback is important to your dog. So you have to give that feedback right. So instead of barking you and your dog on the wrong tree, how about you guys talk to each other? How about you communicate? Yeah, there is a two-way communication. When your dog tells you, oh, I'm going to lose my shit right now. Do you see what I see? And you're like, quiet. You're just barking with him. Right? So, okay. Be aware of accidental reinforcement, because you reward the dog unconsciously, accidentally, for his unwanted behaviors. And if you'd want to address behaviors, use discrete trial exercises. You don't know what this is? Well, here I am. I will not wear my bathrobe, but we can sit down and talk about it. Of course, somebody told me if you do videos, give a call to action. Right. Okay. So I'm going to write a blog and I will connect it to that video. So what we talked about, you have script. And trust me, I started writing that blog. It's a long blog. It's a lot of information there. There's a lot of scientific evidence behind that because I want you to understand what you're doing. And then if you need help with that, because I know not every dog is the same, and if you have a guardian dog or protection dog or any type of high energy dog or high drive dog, you need some extra help because sometimes we are biased with our own dogs, I will have a link for you to go and schedule an appointment, sit down, and we can talk about it. Break it down, see what I see, recognizing how the dog is going through this process. Then we make a map, a training map, where we start, where we're going to end, all these individual pieces. And then you know what you're doing. And that information then you can take and multiply to different behaviors you're seeing, because the concept is the same. Once you understand the concept, you can multiply it with any dog you have in the future. So once you learn it, you cannot unlearn it. You can always improve it over time. Your speed, your time, your location, your choices, your understanding the environmental factors, understanding what your dog is going through, your relationship will be improved by then, his health will be better. All these things, problem solved. Easy. And the most funny part, you don't even need to punish your dog. Where you put that? And have a coffee. And be proud of yourself. And I know some people says, oh, dog training is a science. And you should send your dog out for 3 or 4 weeks somewhere else. Really? Not really. Your dog has a relationship with you. That relationship is a value. Don't give that value away. It's the best value you have. So you want to have somebody else earn that value, which is not possibly happening, not knowing what's going to happen where he goes. Nobody's going to tell you. It's a dirty secret. Then he comes back. He's perfectly behaved the first week. And then we go back to square one because you're barking with your dog on the wrong tree. So, thanks for watching. I hope you had fun today with my bathrobe. I know people will laugh about it. But you know what? If I have something in my mind, I need to get it out. Otherwise, it's going to kill me. And so I think there's no time to waste. So I put my bathrobe on, grab my coffee, which is already cold, and talk to you guys. So welcome to share what you hear, and welcome to put your comments. Please be nice to people who don't grasp it or don't get it or ask questions, right? I didn't know everything before when I was born. I was born naked without a bathrobe. Now we're wearing a bathrobe. So we'll learn over time. Okay? So thanks for watching and talk to you soon.